Hello, beautiful moms. My name is Sharice Walker, and I am beyond thrilled to welcome you to the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire one another. I am so excited to share my personal journey with you, as well as the personal journey of others, and to show you that anything is possible if you set your heart and mind to it. We are all unbreakable mompreneurs, and we are in this together. Hello. So excited to be here. So my kids are going back to school this week, and yours are probably either have already returned or are going pretty soon. And so do you feel like the summer went by way too fast and you're kind of feeling guilty because you didn't take as much time with them as you could have? Or are you happy with the time that you spent with them and you're proud of yourself? Either way, know that it's okay. That's something that the mom guilt is so big, and it is really tough sometimes to be able to juggle everything, especially when you're trying to take care of your clients and yet your kids are sitting there going, Mom, let's go do something. So, it's still okay if you have a few days left with them like I do, to just make sure that you're spending time with them. So I went to this seminar recently, and Brian Buffini is one of my mentors. I admire, respect him very greatly. He has 6 kids as well, like I do. He has a set of twins like I do. The difference is his wife was able to stay home while he went out and brought home the bacon, but it's really interesting to listen to him because every time I've ever been to one of their big masterminds or anything, his 6 kids are smack in the front row with his wife and they're all cheering the dad on. And he is a family man, he's God-fearing, and his priorities are straight, at least in front of us on the stage. But I truly believe that's who he is behind the stage as well. So he talks about, there's 2 takeaways that I'm going to talk about today. And that is that he talked about living it up and doing it now. So he talks about how he had his father-in-law who recently passed away, and there's a few regrets that he had. Somebody actually got up in the audience and said, what are your regrets? And he said, I wish I would have done this. And it was spending more time with the family. He said, I don't have a lot of regrets when it comes to my kids or anything, but I wish I would have spent more time like with his extended family and really taken the time to live it up. So that is something that I am going to really focus on this year, is making sure that I spend at least, and for those of you perfect mothers who spend way more time than this, good for you. But for me, I am going to spend at least a half an hour a day with my children, which I still have 3 at home. And literally, I just picked up my 4th one who has come back to the house. Not quite sure how long she's going to be here. Totally excited to have her. But, she is an adult now, and so it's going to be interesting juggling that. But I think that living it up and doing it now are the 2 things that I really want to focus. So the reason why I want to spend more time with my kids really individually is, first of all, they need it. Whether that be going and taking a walk after school and saying, hey, how did it go? I also just, coming back from the mastermind, there was a gentleman who wrote the Book of Awesome, and totally just forgot his name, but I will refer to his book later. And he had a really horrible life where he came home one day, his wife was sitting out on the steps, and she's like, hey, I met someone else. I'm in love with someone else. I'm going to leave you. And he's like, what? And so then 3 days later, his best friend committed suicide. And so he realized that, his life was pretty low and he was pretty down in the dumps. So he just started a blog, which was 1,000 awesome things. And so he counted his blessings. And so for me, that really stuck through it because, we never know how much time we have on this earth. And when our time is up, our time is up. We were all put here in my belief for a reason. And so I just feel like we need to make sure that we focus on what's important. And so that's been something that I think why I've taken so much time off my business lately. But, finances, I got to get back into it. And so making sure that we do what we want and that we know how to do it. And so if I can spend time with my children, Like if I still have 3 at home that are under 18, then 30 minutes a day would be an hour and a half a day out of my time. So if they get home at 2:30 or 3:30, I'm spending a half an hour individually with them or together as they're playing. I want to be that mom who they're not used to always, like they play very, very well together and they're used to playing well together, but me coming in and spending time with them so that they don't think it's so weird when I do. But that gets it to 5 o'clock, then it's dinner time, and then we get them ready for bed, and you do that whole routine. Well, as a realtor, I have a lot of clients that want me to show them homes outside of, work hours, which means in the evening and on weekends. So how do I gain my time back? Well, for the longest time, it was I will leave whenever, I'll go do whatever because they need me and I have to make it work. But what I realized is think about you going to a doctor, right? So does a doctor work on the evenings? I don't think so. Unless it's a urgent care. And so you schedule your time around their time so that you can get in to see them, correct? So there's this one girl that I met at one of my real estate conferences. She's a gorgeous bombshell of a woman, has 5 kids of her own, and she does not work weekends or nights. And she's one of the top luxury agents in her area. And the reason why is she's a huge mom, a family mom, and wants to be there for her kids as well. And so she makes her clients schedule their time around. And so making sure that you have the value in what you do. So as my kids are going back to school, I think the best times that and the most productive time that I need, obviously, is going to be from 9 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. So my question to you is, do you time block? So think about it, and do you even know what time blocking is? I'm sure you do, but if you don't, time blocking is where you set specific things that are important to you. So I want you to imagine a jar, and you have sand, you have small rocks, you have big rocks, and you have like little pebbles, right? So if you were to dump all of the sand in the jar, how easy would it be to be able to then put the pebbles in, then put the small rocks, and then the big rocks? Would that work out very well? Or is your vase going to be pretty full and overflowing and you're not going to be able to do it? Obviously, we know the answer. So if we put the big things in first that have to be done for the day, and then we put the small ones in, and then we put the pebbles, and then we pour the sand all the way around it, is it easier to be able to get everything into that vase? The answer would be yes. So that's what I want you to think about when you're time blocking. So what are the 2 to 3, which we've already talked about this in a previous episode, but what are the 2 to 3 things that you have to get done today for your business? So whether that be, I hired way too many coaches, but I have a specific deadline that I'm going to lose. I'm no longer going to be getting coaching with this person, so I need to make sure that I have access to that person. So I need to be spending a specific amount of time making sure that I get through that program that I'm no longer renewing. So that might be a time block. The next thing would be I have got to make sure that I go take out these couple clients that need to go see X amount of homes. So that has to be done today. But I also need to do prospecting, because if you stop doing prospecting, your pipeline stops getting filled. And so, 6 months down the road, you went from having a whole bunch of clients to none. And so that is something every single day you have to be prospecting. So that would be for real estate. What if you were running an online business, or whatever your business is that you're doing, you still need to be doing prospecting. So whether that mean you're doing your social media content, you're doing, you're sending out mailers, you're sending out flyers, you're sending out different things, you're making an email campaign for your clients, or you're doing it's called a MIFKE, your most incredible free gift offer, which is a kind of a lead generation type thing. A lead magnet is what it's called. And so you're trying to get more business. You have to do that every single day. That's like the most boring thing sometimes, that we all think, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. You can't. Do not do, don't put it off. You have to be able to do that. So those are your big rocks. Okay. So then your smaller rocks would be, well, let me respond to these emails, or let me make sure that call these people back, or let me follow up with some of my clients. Like for me, I'll do Popeyes, or I'll write them a note and put it in the mail. Like I can write all the notes in the world. I'm great at writing notes. Mailing them off, I don't know what the block is with me, but like walking to the mailbox, I have the hardest time doing. And so with our house now, we have this big long driveway. And so you have to like stop at the mailbox to get it, because you're not going to go from your house to the mailbox. And so anyway, I'm getting much better at mailing things off, but you have to find little hacks for yourself and get over that mindset thing. And then you have your little pebbles. And so think about what your little pebbles are. What are the little things that need to, filing papers away, making sure that you are following up on just the little things, making sure your desk is organized, or, the things that might take 15 minutes that you put off and put off and put off. Like that is my big thing, is the 15-minute task. And so, because if you do it for 15 minutes, then sometimes you can go longer than that. So those are the pebbles, and then the sand, all the other stuff that comes around it. So that is what I want you to start thinking about, is when you have your specific time, you have to time block so that you can maximize your productivity during the school hours. If you also time block where you go, okay, from 9 to 12, it is all client prospecting, making sure it's like productive stuff to bring me new business. And it could be just 9 to 11 or 9 to 10 if you're really, really fast or good or have a team. So that would be your time blocking. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to make sure that you are setting your goals, and not in order, but I'm in my book that I'm writing, we talk about the 12-week year. So you need to take and figure out what your 3 goals are for the quarter, not for the year, but for the quarter. What do you want to accomplish? And so then making sure that you accomplish those things, because the quarter would be from, we'll just say September to December. Well, guess what? The kids are in school that time. And then end of December, they take a break. Woohoo! So you have 2 weeks off with them, or a week and a half, whatever it may be, or 3 weeks, whatever your school system is. And so that's the time that you get to celebrate with your kids, because guess what? You accomplished your goals, so you get to celebrate. So you take the time away and you focus on them while they're home, and then you can get right back to it when they go back to school. Because why? You set yourself a 12-week year. So to kind of give you an idea, if you focus on 3 goals that are major goals that you want to accomplish, and you break it down into tasks. So if you were to do that, then what happens is you're able to get a lot more done in a much quicker time. And so the 12 weeks, and then you take 1 week off to rejuvenate yourself. And so making sure that you're focused on those business goals and you're accomplishing them. And I said goals a lot, but what you need to make sure is you print out your goals so that you're looking at them every single day. So in the morning, before you start your product, your client prospecting time or anything else, you need to review and have kind of a morning routine. So we're going to talk about that in another episode, but making sure that you are focusing on those business goals every day so that you remember and you don't forget. Third thing that I think is important is at the beginning of the year, you go to your school website, look at the school calendar, and everything that is important for that school year is going to be listed on the calendar. Sure, things are going to come up, but I want you to then go and physically write it on a calendar. So if that means that you're typing it into your Google Calendar, great. But I also recommend you have a calendar that's like posted in your house so that you can look at it, your kids can look at it. And in that calendar, you're going to be able to write like all the performances that your kids are going to have, or the times that they are out of school early, or that they are out of school period. We actually scheduled a trip once that it was like the week before they were out of school for a fall break. Like, why? I should have looked at the calendar years ago, but making sure that you get a calendar, and that way you know what the activities are. Because to me, super important to make sure that you are fitting your kids in there and that you're making them a priority, because they need their parents. I remember the times where my parents were at work, but I always knew that I could call them. And because I knew that I was the most important thing to them. And I want my kids to feel like that. And a lot of times if I'm out showing homes or something and they call me 3 or 5 times, I don't always pick up. And so I'm actually making an attempt to let my clients know that my kids are the most important, so I'm not going to ignore them. And so because of that, I've been making a much more conscious effort, and my clients are actually totally fine with it. So I'm thinking and totally worried that they're not, but they are. There's another person that I have been admiring from afar. He came and did some training for a group of us from a different coach that I was in. And I recently saw him post, and his name's Elijah Bowie. So I recently saw him post on his site that he was holding his baby in his arm, and he goes, "My kids are the most important thing. So when you see me, you're going to see me with my kids. If you have a problem with that, then I'm not the one for you." And so that's where I really want you to sit there and think about the final thoughts. I want you to think about what are your priorities and what is most important to you, and what do you want your kids to know about you and believe about you and to feel about you. We were driving down the road and I said, "Okay, kids, what's a memory that you have with mom?" And I asked each one of them. And I was so happy to know that they each, without hesitation, came up with their own separate individual things that they were thinking. But that to me was very important because I don't want my kids to not have good memories, and I don't want them to not have any memories. So I really do work hard to do that. So I was only going to give you 3, which is time blocking, business goals, and getting a calendar. But the 4th, which is what we've kind of been talking about, is setting boundaries. So you need to have clear boundaries between your work and family time. Recently, I took about 6 months off because we moved. It's been a horrible move because our house, it's been an adventure. I probably could have done a YouTube channel with all the different things that have gone on. But I really enjoyed the time with my kids. And I honestly didn't want to answer the phone because I knew once I started answering the phone, I'd be gone. And I'd be showing homes again, and I'd be doing things which I absolutely love. I love being with my clients, but I was having fun being with my kids. One of them was having a hard transition when we moved, and so I felt like she really needed me. So that was more important to me than making the money that I was making last year. So that's something where setting your boundaries that, does your phone turn off at 6 or 7 o'clock at night? And do you turn off for the weekends or for Sunday? Like, what are your boundaries and what are you going to do to make sure that you can keep those boundaries? And it might honestly be that you have that initial conversation with your clients and you let them know that, hey, my family's important to me. If they need me, I'm going to be there for them. So this is why I don't work on this day. This is why I don't work after this time. And I've actually had a lot of people respect that. There's very few that haven't. And shame on me for not enforcing that. But as I continue to work with some of these people, they actually really do. They're gonna follow your lead, and I think that that's where you need to make sure that you know what your lead is. So as your kids go back to school, I wish you the best. I hope that you have a fantastic school year with them, and I hope that you are able to make sure that you set those boundaries and that you have a productive time during the time that you are not with your children so that you can have focused time when you are with your children. And making sure that you set your goals so that you can accomplish things and feel like you've accomplished it. A month goes by super fast. And so if you don't have a plan, then you're not working towards anything. You're kind of just spinning your wheels. And so making sure that you are focusing on that with your goals, and then making sure that you know what's coming up with your dates and know what's happening with your school activities so that you can coordinate that. I travel a lot. And so that's exactly what I did this year is I made sure that I knew what dates my kids would be in and out of school so that I could plan my trips around that if possible, or just quite frankly, not go on those trips because I feel like my kids need me at home. So again, this year my focus is more family, but I do believe that we are all blessed because of that. And I think, have you ever driven by a Chick-fil-A line during the week? How long is your line? Because mine, every Chick-fil-A I go to or drive by, the lines are ridiculously long. However, if you think about it, Chick-fil-A is not open on one specific day. Do you know what day that is? Sunday. So as you start to watch and you think about things, there's a lot of people that are not at work on Sunday and that they're out and about running their errands and doing different things on Sunday. So how much money do you think that Chick-fil-A loses not being open on Sunday? Quite a bit, I'm sure. However, during the week, everyone who has their Chick-fil-A desires, they make sure that they get their Chick-fil-A's on the other 6 days. So do I think that their income is made up and they're probably blessed that they have their values that they've set by not being open on Sunday? I truly do believe that. And so because of that, I believe that when you set your boundaries, you put your family first, and you really focus on what's important, the other stuff is going to fall into place. And that's the little sand that's going to come and fill in all those little cracks that you need because you have your priorities straight. So I hope this helps. I hope that you take the time to really set your business goals. And I would love for you to comment below on some of the things that you are going to want to focus on for the next 3 months of this school year. So have a great day and have a great beginning of the school year. Talk to you soon. Remember, my beautiful moms, you are unbreakable. Keep shining, pursuing your dreams, and embracing the magic of motherhood. This is Sharice Walker signing off from the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Have a great day.